Most people are taught the same lie about human connection. Be kind, be open, be available, give more, and you will be valued more. Yet reality keeps proving the opposite. The people who are remembered are rarely the most loving. They are the most mysterious. The ones who linger in the mind are not the ones who explain themselves, but the ones who leave something unresolved. This is not romance. It is psychology. 500 years ago, Niccolò Machiavelli was not studying love, he was studying power. But the mechanics are identical. Influence is not created by comfort. It is created by controlled uncertainty. You are not forgotten because you lack worth. You are forgotten because you became too easy to understand. The invisible wound. There is a kind of pain that leaves no bruise and earns no sympathy. It is the pain of being slowly downgraded in someone's life. You were once important, and then, without drama, you became optional. You were the one who always reached out first, who remembered details, who carried conversations, who stayed emotionally present even when the other side drifted. And when the silence came, it did not just hurt, it rewrote your self-worth. This happens not because you are weak, but because you are human. You start asking what you did wrong when the real issue is that you became predictable. In an attention economy, what is abundant becomes cheap. You believed generosity would earn affection, so you showed all your pages before the book was opened. You gave the ending before the story had time to grip. You did not become forgettable because you lacked depth. You became forgettable because you removed tension. The mind does not obsess over what it fully understands. It obsesses over what it almost understands, but cannot decode. You were not boring. You were complete. And in a world trained by instant dopamine, completeness releases attention instead of capturing it. The deeper mechanism. To understand why people lose interest when you become emotionally available, you must challenge everything you were taught about love. The truth is harsh. The brain is not addicted to love. It is addicted to uncertainty. We crave the possibility of connection more than connection itself. The maybe, the unresolved, the spark we almost catch. Think about the person you could not stop thinking about. It was rarely the one who gave steady warmth. It was the one who vanished at the peak of closeness. That silence after vulnerability. That message left hanging. That shift in tone. That is where obsession begins. Psychologists call this intermittent reinforcement. It is the same mechanism that traps gamblers. Not winning, but maybe winning. That uncertainty floods the brain with anticipation. In relationships, certainty closes the emotional loop. Uncertainty traps the mind inside it. Comfort creates safety. Safety does not create fixation. Machiavelli understood this in politics. What is always available loses value. People chase scarcity because denial bruises the ego, and bruised egos obsess. When someone can map you completely, they stop thinking about you. And when they stop thinking, you fade. The common mistakes that destroy obsession before it starts. Most people erase their own psychological presence without realizing it. They reveal too much too fast, turning themselves into an open book that gets read quickly and shelved. They chase clarity, explaining every intention and emotion, believing understanding will prevent abandonment, when in fact understanding creates closure, and closure kills tension. They offer unlimited access, always available, always present, not realizing that constant presence becomes invisibility. They over-explain themselves, smoothing every rough edge, not seeing that mystery is where influence lives. They offer emotional security too early, promising certainty before it has been earned, forgetting that obsession grows from risk, not reassurance. People do not stop obsessing because you were unkind. They stop because you were emotionally frictionless, too clear, too smooth, too predictable. Obsession feeds on the unfinished thought. The philosophy behind the power. Machiavelli is often misunderstood as cruel, but his real lesson is about positioning. He revealed a law of power. People attach more deeply to what unsettles them than to what comforts them. This is not advice to harm others. It is an observation about human behavior. Silence, when intentional, becomes influence. Distance, when timed, becomes authority. Modern culture worships transparency, but full visibility creates full access, and what is fully accessible is rarely respected or remembered. To be fully known is to be easily discarded. To be partially unknown is to remain mentally alive. Power lives in perception, not in who you are, but in how you are experienced. When shaped correctly, perception becomes stronger than reality, from needing love to commanding presence. The transformation begins internally. The world does not treat you as you are. It treats you as you believe you are, and how that belief walks into the room. Needing love makes you negotiable. Needing approval makes your attention cheap. When you stop chasing validation, your presence becomes heavier. When you stop explaining yourself, your silence gains weight. You stop negotiating your worth and begin assuming it. You no longer try to be understood. You become the one others work to understand. This is the difference between being forgotten and being unforgettable. How to trigger obsession without saying a word. Theory must become behavior. You control timing, leaving interactions before emotional peaks so the unfinished moment lingers. You respond with precision rather than emotion, not coldly, but unreadably, so your calm becomes pressure. You break patterns, offering distance where warmth is expected and silence where praise is expected. You use absence subtly, not through dramatic disappearance, but through controlled fading. Longer pauses. Quieter tone, no explanation. This forces the other person's mind to supply meaning. They begin asking what changed, and once they start questioning themselves, you become the center of their internal dialogue. You are not forcing emotion, you are shaping perception, the new face of power. As you change your behavior, your identity changes. You become calm instead of eager, selective instead of accessible, precise instead of loud. Your silence is no longer emptiness. It becomes control. You stop being someone they once knew and become the standard they measure others against, not because you were perfect, but because you were unresolved in a way that made them feel something sharp and rare. You become less of a memory and more of a reference point. The cycle they can't escape. Obsession forms when warmth and withdrawal alternate. Warmth elevates their identity. Withdrawal threatens it. They do not only miss you, they miss who they were when you were near. Without you, they feel less chosen, less interesting, less alive. Your absence becomes psychologically dangerous, not merely sad. You become the trigger that defines intensity. Everything else begins to feel too safe, too clear, too soft. Silence becomes the stage where obsession writes its script. How to become a myth. At this stage, you stop being experienced as a person and start being experienced as a symbol. Machiavelli understood that lasting power is not maintained through presence, but through narrative. You do not remain in their life. You remain in their imagination. You become rare, and rarity becomes reverence. You do not offer resolution, and lack of resolution becomes permanence. People defend the myth they helped build because it now belongs to them. You are no longer remembered. You are referenced. Fear of losing you. Desire peaks not when someone wants you, but when they fear losing you. The human mind fights harder to avoid loss than to gain reward. When your presence feels like a privilege instead of a promise, they begin self-regulating to keep access. You never threaten. Your silence is enough. They adjust their behavior because they cannot afford to lose you again. They are no longer chasing love. They are chasing stability, redemption, control. you never need to pursue. Gravity does the work. If this changed the way you see power, attraction, and human behavior, stay with this channel. Because we don't teach comfort, we teach clarity. More frameworks like this are coming for those who want control over their psychology, their presence, and their life. If you want to be smarter every day, like and subscribe.